gentlemen, and a very warm welcome to the Wednesday week, the Sheffield Wednesday podcast. I'm Lord Hillsman, and with me on the line today, first of all, we have Eddie. Hello there, old boy.
Good evening, Lord H. How are you doing, sir?
Very well, thank you, old boy. Very well indeed. Beastie, I don't know if you're with us as well.
Yes, I'm here. Hello, everybody.
And everybody's favourite finger of fun is Fudge. Hello there, Fudge, old boy.
Good evening, chaps. How's it going, boys? You all right?
Top class, old boy. Top class.
I'm surprised you've made it this week, Fudge.
Why is that, man?
Well, I thought you'd have been off somewhere stalking Katie Livo.
I'm going to get this out of the way now. Is that what's happening?
Well, it looks like it's out on the table now, doesn't it?
It appears to be friend to the stars, Fudge here. Last week, Boy Band 5. This week, Katie Livo. What's going on?
Hang on a minute.
I think I find yesterday as well. I got a tweet from Mr. Dan Walker from the Football Focus programme as well.
Well, anyone who wants to associate with him, you be my guest. He's an idiot.
I'm really sorry. But listen, Kate, if you're listening, I'm not mental. I just like to meet another fan, and it's got nothing to do with the fact that I think you're fit.
Hang on a minute. It's not a matter of he's friends with the stars. Katie's friends with me.
I'm trying to jump on the back of you to tell you.
Exactly.
Hey, look at me, I'm here. Yeah.
Anytime that Katie tweets me, I expect a tweet straight after it from Fudge. Katie, I'm here as well, don't forget me. That was the most pathetic schmoozing I've ever seen in my life.
Listen, how many boy band members from the 90s have you met? This sort of behaviour, it gets you places. That's what happens.
How many modern pentathletes have you got that like your tweets?
I must admit, I do not get many modern pentathletes.
Exactly. There you go.
I don't think they're in my TSA. I don't think they're in my audience. So I'll have to. The modern pentathlete crowd, I'll have to work on.
Well, I think you need to work on your lines as well because Katie, why don't you come and do an interview with us? Beastie will be there. Really, good work on any level.
She knows you. I thought it'd be a laugh. I'd love to hear you talking to her. That's all it was. Katie, once again, if you're listening, I'm not mental.
Because all that comes through is that really, really southern Yorkshire voice that you've got. Katie.
My mate fancies you.
In fact, you should tweet her now and say that. No, don't say it. No, say it. Yes, say it.
If I may be so bold as to break in to Fudge's love life, are you well, Fudge, old boy?
Yeah, not bad. I'm all right. Have we got anything to talk about? I've just spent the last hour watching Roy Keane slowly get redder, looking at Adrian Childs' sad eyes.
Oh, poor Adrian trying to say that.
He has got sad eyes, though.
He has got sad eyes.
He's got sad everything. It's Adrian Childs, we're going to say.
Yeah, he does look like an old sofa, doesn't he?
So the chaps, of course, we've seen a distinct lack of Sheffield Wednesday football this week due to the international break. Of course, now we are a championship side. We do feature into the international breaks. Shall we crack on with a bit of a preview of the Leeds game, shall we? Of course, it's going to be a difficult game, chaps, we'll put it that way. We're not on the best of forms just at the moment. Of course, we all know what happened the last international break. Do we think this one's going to have the opposite effects and we'll come out swinging? Beastie, what do you think, old boy?
Oh, I don't think we'll come out swimming. I mean, I know it's been raining a bit, but... I'm hopeful that this is going to be our Blades match from last season where we went on a run of defeats. But once we beat the Blades, it really galvanised us, and we went forward from that point. And, all right, it's me being soft and naive, but I'm hoping that Friday night we get a bit of the same and we get a little bit of impetus from it because it's going to be a massive crowd. Expectations are going to be high. It's on the telly, which, all right, we don't usually do well when we're on the telly. But let's hope that this is the one that starts our season or reignites it, shall we say.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that, Beastie. I mean, we went away to the last international break and we were on top of the world. You look back at the podcast, we were talking about it's nailed on, we're going to go from strength to strength in this league. We've got the right team, the right manager, the right attitude, the right fans, and you see how quickly it can all turn around. Well, we've been on that downswing and it's now time to get back on that upswing. Leeds are a difficult team. but they're not the best team in this division, not by a long shot. They're the sort of team that we need to be looking at as a peer, not a world-beating team that we should be afraid of. They've got players who can score goals, absolutely. They've got dangerous players, and of course they've got our old friend Colin, who he plants his flag firmly in the red half of the city, but personally I'd like to plant his flag somewhere very different.
Graham Souness style.
Absolutely, yeah, right in his centre circle. But no, let's be honest. He's going to get them wound up for it. It's going to be a big crowd. It's going to be a great Yorkshire derby atmosphere. And let's just hope the players can feed off in a positive way. Because if there's one thing about the Wednesday fans, and it's that, the last few games we've had a bit of rumblings of discontent around Hillsborough, etc. When it comes down to these big games where there's a big crowd and we care about the team that we're playing against, we care about them knowing that they're in a hostile environment, then the Wednesday fans get behind our team and bring out the real best of them. So let's hope that happens again on Friday. And, we can kick on and we can forget, effectively, that September ever happened.
Yeah, fingers crossed we can shake that monkey off our back. Like Lord Hillsborough says, the international break didn't favour us very well in the slightest. We had a run of momentum. We had a couple of weeks off for the prima donnas to play, and then we came back and we were absolute, well, for lack of a better term, gash.
You lacked a better term, and that's all you could come up with.
I couldn't. I was struggling for words there.
I'm still thinking of decathlon as well there, chap.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Katie. I'm normally quite articulate.
Articulate.
Again, go on. That's that southern northern Highbury accent I've got. Go on, yeah. That's right.
Hey, I'm quite articulate, Katie.
So fingers crossed. We can use this international break to get our smack together and build up on something. We've in terms of lineup, we spoke last few weeks about Bothroyd playing down the wing and that sort of nonsense. Do you think we'll keep it?
I can't see him changing many things, to be honest. And it'll be interesting to see how Ross Barkley plays on Friday night, because it's his last game for us of this loan spell. His loan period ends effectively on Saturday after. So he's going to be in front of a big crowd. The atmosphere is going to be quite electric, and it's going to give him a little taster of what it's going to be like playing in a big derby over on Merseyside. Obviously, this will be a little bit bigger. But at least we'll be able to see whether he can rise to the occasion and get the best out of him.
What do we think about Ross Barkley, lads, in terms of, it's an initial, it's a 1 month loan deal, and I know how these things work, that if there's no chance of him getting into the team at Everton, is David Moyes going to say, yeah, fair enough, have him for another month, or have him for another 3 months, whatever? As Wednesday fans, how do we feel that he's fitted in? If it turns out that there's an option for him to come back here at Hillsborough, would you want him back at Hillsborough and in that team?
Well, I would. I'd have him back, yeah. I think he's got better and better with each game. It's showing his inexperience more than anything when he first came. And he's just really grown into the role, and I think the longer that we have him, the better he'll get and the more influence he'll have on our side.
I think you're right. I think we've definitely seen an improvement in him. I mean, when he first came on, he actually signed on the day we played Brighton, didn't he? He signed that afternoon, and we gave him his debut that evening. And at the time when he came on, we were 1, maybe 2-0 down, and I was thinking, why is he bringing on an untested kid? It seemed like a mental decision to make. But as the game's gone on, we've obviously seen a player that Dave Jones has seen, if that makes sense. He obviously saw something different to what we saw at Brighton on that Friday night. I'd have him back over, let's say, Bothroyd, for example, who's been an absolute chocolate fireguard.
No. I've got to disagree with you there, Fudge. I think Bothroyd's getting a rough deal out of it all. I think he's another player that's improved with each game, and I think he's having more of an influence on each game that he plays for Wednesday. And I'm hoping that he can keep battling on how he is doing and improving, and that the Wednesday fans eventually do turn round and like him, like they did, if you remember, not too long ago. Lewis Buxton were the root of all evil, and everybody were booing him, and he turned it round.
He's silly.
Yeah, he is to you. You're the only one that boos him now, though.
Spill me on. I tell you what, a good example of that is back in the early 2000s, Gerald Seaborn, when he signed, he was bloody awful, and then he managed to turn himself around once. And like all football players, once they've got a regular run of games under their belt, they tended to improve. I hope Bothroyd proves me wrong at times, like what you say, Beastie, that we've made him a bit of a scapegoat. We've kind of blamed him for the terrible form we've been in. Like I said, I'm more than happy for him to prove me wrong, and then you can all go, I don't mind.
Yeah, with Seaborn particularly, I think it wasn't so much that he really stepped up to the plate, it's just that Wednesday were falling so fast that suddenly, by comparison, he looked brilliant. But yeah, Jay Bothroyd, let's get it right. For the last 2 games, he has been amongst the few bright sparks that we've seen. He's been a completely different player to the player we saw the first couple of games in a Wednesday shirt. And I think the exact same thing applies to Ross Barkley. He's grown into the role. He realises that. Okay, there's probably a clause in that loan deal, even if it's only a gentleman's agreement, that he's going to get played, pretty much all the time. And so there's been a bit of pressure on him there. He looked out of his depth. He looked like he didn't understand the system. He looked like he didn't understand the players that he was playing with. But he's grown into the role in the same way that Bothroyd has. And let's just rewind back to the Hull game. Our problems weren't that we lacked a cutting edge up front. We didn't score any goals. But the problems weren't that we didn't know what we were doing up front. We had Bothroyd and Barkley actually pulling quite a lot of strings there. It was a game where, and we said this on the last podcast, we were at the races the entire time, and we were undone by a couple of moments of sloppiness, a couple of moments of inattention and individual errors. So it bodes well in terms of performance for the Leeds game. What's going to be missing and what we're going to need is going to be that passion. If the players perform to the passion of the crowd, I think we'll get a result.
So, chaps, going back to the Leeds game, obviously we've seen the chopping and changing with the back four. Liera had a decent game. Do we think Liera's going to be there, or shall we expect to see Mr. Taylor back?
For me, I'd put Taylor in. I know Fudge has got all this man love going for Liera, but to me, I just don't think he's up to the defensive qualities of the Championship that we need. And I don't think Taylor has been given a fair crack at it yet.
I'm going to surprise you, Beastie. I agree with you.
Blimey, O'Reilly.
Crikey.
Now, listen, there's a big change of heart coming this way, and take note, Katie. I'm not renowned for changing my mind.
Miguel, I don't like you anymore.
when I say I'm gay for Miguel Lara, Katie, I hope you're listening. I'm not into blogs. But I agree with the Beast. When I saw Taylor, when I saw him play, I like the way he plays. He's just he reminds me of Rob Jones, but better. Do you know what I mean? He's that rough and ready, 6 foot something mental nutcase that will absolutely stick his head where a lot of young strikers would stick their boots. And don't get me wrong, I think Yera is a similar player, but he is at fault. We saw it at Crystal Palace, the big air kick that he did and stuff like that. He is one of those players that does make these silly mistakes, and maybe a bit of time out the team. He might be able to work on kicking a ball.
We've got an issue though here, lads, for this particular game, in that we're going to have to pick from 3 central defenders who are all of them vulnerable to pace, and we're going up against, very likely, a forward line that will include Ross McCormack, that will include Luciano Becchio. These are players who have the capacity to make even good Championship defenders look very, very ordinary and look very, very stupid at times. So I think it's actually probably more important that the back four are well drilled and that Dave Jones has actually got them prepared for what's going to be coming at them from Leeds, because we've seen it time and time again where you've got these standout players. I remember Gary McSheffrey when he was playing for Coventry.
Also known as Gary McShevchenko.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we certainly made him look like Shevchenko that day. There seems to be a tendency for Wednesday teams to make players who are at best, good championship players look like absolute world beaters through lack of preparation. Dave Jones had 2 weeks to get this prepared. We need to make sure that we are not pushing up too high up the pitch and leaving space behind for these younger, faster players to actually really get in and hurt us.
Let's be right here. Does anybody think we'll keep a clean sheet?
Of course, old boy, absolutely.
I don't mean in your heart, I mean in your head.
I think we can.
Against Leeds?
But like I said, Vecchio's a great striker. He's a great boy band tribute. But I just think I think he's a bit more of a sniffer. He's a bit more of your Hernandez at Manchester United. Obviously not that standard, but or Hernandez and or Van Nistelrooy. You very rarely saw them running at goal. They kind of sniffed them in from 6 yards. This is where Danny Bart was great for us. He was great at putting strikers like that in his pocket. He'd stick to them all day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think hopefully Taylor or Gardner or Yera, hopefully they will just stick on him. The one that I fear is one you mentioned earlier is McCormack, who can stick a ball from anywhere in the last 20 yards. He can stick it in the back of the net, whether it's a sniffer goal or it's a run clear of the defence and smash it in. He's the one I'm worried about. And as much as you like him, I don't think Lewis Buxton's going to keep up with him. He reminds me of a Chinese footballer. His legs keep going 10th of a dozen, but he doesn't seem to be getting anywhere. It's like riding a bike in the wrong gear. Do you know what I mean?
Are you talking about our decathlon friend again there, old boy?
With the greatest will in the world, I just cannot see us keeping a clean sheet. Even if we had every defender that we own at the club lined up across the back, I still think we'd concede. And I'm just hoping that up front we can turn it on this week. And if you like, revert back to Brian Law's style and score one more than them.
Well, I think we're going to need to. Although there's a voice in the back of our mind that reminds me of an early season game against Leeds when we'd come up from League One last time under Sturrock, and I think was it our first home game of the season, and we managed, and they were a really highly regarded top of the Championship team at the time, and we did them 1-0, and they had players that we were fearful of at the time, and I feel that it's almost exactly the same situation. Maybe it's not as early in the season and we're not catching them cold like we did last time, but I don't know. I haven't watched enough of Leeds this season to think definitely that there's players who are going to score at will against us. But I do look at that squad list and I look at the likes of Becchio and McCormack and Andy Gray and El Hadj Diouf. I don't know who's going to be playing for them, but there's some names there, aren't there? There's some players that have done stuff. So we are going to have our shooting boots on, and that's something that we just haven't had very recently.
Absolutely, chaps, absolutely. Of course, I should imagine it's going to be a packed house, chaps. The Wednesday fans seem to be flooding back. We are on the telly, famously not the best place for us to be. We never seem to do well when everybody's watching. But do we think the crowds are going to be there, chaps, and do we think they're going to get cheered on? Do you think we'll be able to push them over the line?
Our wonderful friend James Hargreaves at the club he put a very specific web update today. We said that tickets had exceeded the 26,598 mark. That was excellent.
That's a landmark, but everybody talks about.
Well, I think if you've got more than 26,598 in the ground, then you reasonably expect to win. But it's clear. I'm joking, of course, James. We do love you, of course. Please continue to publicise the Wednesday week and all of our Twitter addresses. It's going to be a big crowd, and as I've said before, it's going to be absolutely key because a positive crowd that's behind Wednesday is going to benefit the team.
But is it going to be a positive? Is it going to be a positive crowd, Jeff? I mean, if
it better have be. I'll fight them all.
If we concede an early goal, it's I can see it turning.
Well, it can. We're no different to every other club. Football fans the world over as fickle as they come, aren't they? And an early goal at Hillsborough will set us back no end. But I'm just hopeful that we can ride any storm that they can bring to us in the first 20 minutes and settle into the game, and then the crowd can sort of grow into the game with the team and just, I don't know, lift us. We're in desperate need of a lift. We're in desperate need of some kind of spark to ignite all of us, not just the players, not, it's the fans. We just seem to have been a little bit flat so far, don't we?
Aye, and if not, at least we can give Kenny absolute pelt.
It's easy for you to say.
I have to say Paddy Keelty for a minute. Erstwhile host of TV's Fame Academy of 2004. Anyway, I'm gonna keep quiet for the next couple of minutes.
I think that was a Wednesday week first, by the way. I think that's the first time I've ever used the word erstwhile.
Dear. Chaps, so of course we shall look forward to the Leeds game, and whatever happens, I'm sure we shall ride the storm, so to speak. So on to other Sheffield Wednesday news. Fudge, I do believe you've been following a certain story of one of our loanees from last season.
Yeah, one of our loanees from last season, Mr. Nil Danger. One of our targets from the summer that we tried to get in full time has been arrested for assaulting the police. He got himself in a bit of a tear up outside the nightclub, ended up hitting a couple of fellas, and he ended up tussling with the fuzz as well. I think that confirms what we all thought about him. If I'm honest.
Hang on, I thought, because I've seen the T-shirt with him wearing it, that he was a changed man. So presumably he's a changed man. He's not going to do anything like that anymore.
If this isn't changed, I'm concerned what it was like before.
Oh, he's changed from hurting the public to hurting the police.
Yeah, that's what he's changed. He's changed from waving gums around on the internet to police assault.
So, I mean, Chaps, was it really, were you gutted that we didn't sign him in pre-season? Were you not too bothered? I mean, he did show some very vague signs of shining at the back end of last season, but are we too fussed?
I think he is a reasonable player, and I would have quite liked him. But one thing we aren't short of is anywhere in football, I suppose, is trouble causers. And if I'm honest, I can do without him. I've had enough of them.
Well, all right, then. You can tell me.
There you go. Oi, Danger, sod off.
I've just got visions of Houston outside the gates of Hillsborough going, giving them some kind of personality test. Do you know what I mean? So, are they known as women, chicks, or bitches?
My T-shirt says...
Good sign for me.
My T-shirt will be saying, "Change man, is it? I don't bloody think so, matey. Now on your back." Obviously, it's a really big T-shirt.
I can see them selling as well as the Reggie Blinker wigs.
Owen Morrison Toby jugs.
Like I said, by all means, ladies and gents, if you have your views on any of the stories that we do cover, please, by all means, do get in touch. One person that has got in touch with us this week over there on Twitter, I don't know if you saw, chaps, that Mr. Staten from the Radio Sheffield posted a picture of the Blunt's new mascot. Have you seen this one, gents?
No.
Yeah.
What is it, some kind of pig?
I don't want to ruin the surprise or anything, but if you'd said to me that them lot across the city are going to come up with a mascot that is even more ludicrous than a huge baby-faced pirate, I'd have said you're crazy because that can't be done. But they apparently have done.
I got knife-wielding baby-faced pirate.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. A baby-faced, blonde-haired... In fact, he looks... Captain Blunt looks
Don't go there! Don't go there!
He looks a bit like Derek Geary, doesn't he? Derek Geary with the sword and an eye patch.
I'm pleased that's where you went.
And he is ginger. He is ginger.
Chaps, Mr. Pirate Fellow, whatever his name is, has got himself a companion. And it's a parrot. They've got themselves a great big 6-foot parrot to go along with their parrot. As I say, one of the chaps that did get in touch with us was Spud Gunn over there on Twitter, saying it's Mr. Evans' new jailbird outfit that they've got him over there at the Blunt, so he's been back employed.
Can I just ask you, Lord H, have you been shacked up with Fudge for a while? Because how can you make pirate sound like parrot? Right? They're two different words. You've obviously been down south with him. That is parrot. Say it again.
Parrot.
But which one were you saying there?
I've got a photo of him here. I'm just looking at him now. I finally managed to find a picture of him. He looks like he's got worse glaucoma than Barney Owl. He looks off his brains, doesn't he? Jesus, look at that! If you tap in to Google, listeners, Sheffield United parrot mascot, it's the first image that comes up, and wow, that is frightening. That is scary.
Which one is it? There's 4 people there. Which one is it? Oh, it's him on right, isn't it?
Oh no, the small boy at the bottom is Derek Geary.
Oh dear. So, chaps, we're going to pop and Beastie, I don't believe you've got a little say.
Yeah, I thought I'd put a question out to the massive Sheffield Wednesday following and ask them who they thought was the ugliest Wednesday players in history that they can think of.
This week we go through the 10 ugliest players ever to grace a Sheffield Wednesday shirt. Beastie, take it away.
Well, let's get a few things out of the way first, because a few people have got being ginger confused with being ugly. Just being ginger doesn't necessarily make you ugly, does it?
I suppose not.
Don't get me wrong, it's not a fantastic thing to have on your resume, but it doesn't automatically make you ugly.
Well, no. It depends if it's married up with lots of freckles that you could go together and make a dinosaur out of or something like that.
Yeah, and sideburns.
We had a reply from Neil Hargreaves, who asked if our very own podcasting chum Eddie Sausage Arms has ever played for us, and said he'll walk straight into any top 10 for an ugly 11. Bit harsh, but everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah, but
we also had a lot for old-time midfield favourite Graham Hyde, including John Jay on Twitter and Craig Cornwall, who thought Heidi looked ill in inverted commas on that one. And Carlton Palmer got a suggestion as well. Just an ugly body with pipe legs, according to Tom Windle on Facebook. He had a lot of qualities, but a face for radio. Also, we had Guy Branston, a good shout by Johnny Cigar on Twitter, who also suggested Larry May. But Larry May's touch saved him, to be honest, because it is quite epic.
yeah, hang on a minute. So we've got Neil Hargreaves accusing one of the Wednesday week of being ugly. Is that what we had?
That's what he said, yeah.
Well, that's got to be the pot calling the kettle black, that really, hasn't it?
I thought Neil Hargreaves was the bloke that wrote the Mr. Men.
No, that Hargreaves was a good-looking lad. This one, he's not very pretty at all. And Neil and James, if this were down to staff at Sheffield Wednesday Football Club, both of them would be figuring very, very strongly in this top 10.
What about you? Did you have any feedback?
Yeah, I had Alan Quinn, who was suggested by the beautiful Kayla Cousins on Twitter. On Twitter, right. Not Twitter. I don't know what Twitter is. But on Twitter, she suggested him, saying that he's like an ugly Wayne Rooney. And she knows, but...
How there's such a thing?
Well, how bad is that if you're an ugly Wayne Rooney? Whilst Paul John Bonnet suggested that whoever it is won't compare to Alan's brother, former Blade Stephen Quinn. And he says that's a whole different level of ugly, and to be fair, you can't argue with that, can you?
No, I've got nothing to say about that. I think he's nailed it. Bob on there, to be honest.
We've got a couple of the older Wednesday players. One from Tony Dawson on Facebook who suggested Brian Joycey. And if you look on Google and Google Brian Joycey, ye gods, that is one ugly footballer. He's got like a gingery blonde hair, right? That hairdo is, I'm glad it went out of fashion. And he's got some mutton chops that just sort of stem from his fringe. It's not a good look. And along with that...
I'm going to Google it now.
Well, you do that. Be prepared. It's one to keep the kids away from the fireplace, is that?
I don't know if you've oversold it. Hang on, let's have a look. Played for Coventry, Sheffield Wednesday, Barnsley in 69 to 79, and I pressed images, and sweet child of mine there, epic.
We've got another one for the older Wednesday fans. Jerry Young, who were mentioned by David Kay on Facebook. Jerry Young, he's another one from the 60s, and going by the photo, I mean, I don't remember him, even as old as I am. But David Kay is bang on the money again here. He is not a good-looking fella. But I'm just wondering. Well, I'm wondering.
He looks like Peter Atherton, though. I think he looks like Peter Atherton.
Well, I just wonder whether folk were a bit uglier back then anyway. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
Well, I know I was. It's just that I've grown into my face.
I'm 32 in a fortnight, and I'm looking forward to this, to be honest, Beast, because I've looked 32 since I've been about 16. You know what I mean? Finally, my age has caught up with the way I look, or the way I look's caught up with my age, should I say?
Yeah, eventually we all grow into his faces.
Yeah, I think when I was 14, I was just a walking ears and nose. But anyway, carry on.
Well, let's set amongst this top 10 and see who finished at the top of the ugly tree.
Okay, Lord H, give us some music.
Okay, straight in at number 10 is Coachy Sedlowski with his huge monobrow and ever-decreasing fringe. He was never going to be one to grow into his face. He was always more likely to wear it out. Thanks, Chris Hancock, for that one on Facebook.
Number 9, Martin Hodge. He wasn't a pretty fella when he was younger. In fact, he looked like a nasty Alan Partridge. But as he got older, he didn't get any wiser. He got wider, and his face went like a kitten's head, where all the features go to a point at the front, like a space opera permanently being inflated. That's from Paul Stanborough on Twitter.
At 8, it's Graham Cocko Coughlin. As tough as they come, and with a face like that, you really need it to be tough. That's from Chris Rishton and Danny Goodison on Twitter.
At number 7, Pet Rudy. Gangly legs, gangly arms, and a gangly face to match. The one who wannabe was never going to win the hearts of the ladies. That's from Mark Reed on Facebook and Peter Lohman on Twitter.
In at 6, John Hills. Once that fringe disappeared over the back of his head and he started with the Bobby Charlton look, it was never going to be pretty. Thanks, Mark Reed on Facebook and Jordan Bellamy on Twitter.
At number 5, it's Ian Cranston. 30 games for us at the end of the 80s. Not even a blue and white shirt could detract from that fit on. Walkers and Rion on Twitter, and David Reed on Facebook. Give us that one.
Number 4, it's Richie Humphries. Tubby Humphers strikes again. Already figuring highly on the top 10 faddies. He's now singled out for his dashing looks to go with the girth. Laura Williams on Facebook.
At number 3, it's Sam Ellis, one for the older Owls fans here. Sam played 155 games for the Blue and White Wizards. Through most of the 60s and the 70s, a smashing player, coach and bloke, but not visited by the handsome fairy. Having a poor boxer's face, ginger hair and a fringe that John Hills would have died for, we didn't help young Sam at all. Thanks to Blackburn Owl on Twitter and on Facebook, David Kay.
In at number 2, we're almost there, pop pickers. John Bez Weatherick. Johnny Sweet Left Foot Bez Weatherick is another one with the suspect hairstyling. He was born in the 70s and his hair never left that decade. His football was almost as bad as his face, and neither were pretty. That's from the wonderful, wonderful Zicky Fenelon on Facebook.
And right now, ladies and gents, pop pickers, it's now time for the number 1 ugliest player to grace a Sheffield Wednesday shirt. We've gone with man with a face like a bag of spanners. It's Chris Adamson. At the top, the king of cringe, the man with a face that could clear a room. His face was so prominent, it arrived 20 minutes before the rest of his head. Pretty much everyone put him at the top, inundated on Facebook and Twitter. Eventually, we had to call it a winner, to be honest. But that was our number 10 ugliest players.
I noticed today on Twitter that we actually had a very famous response in the form of ex-Sheffield Wednesday legend Danny Bart, who nominated immediately current Wednesday legend Chris Lines as one of that top 10, which I thought was a little bit harsh. But, you know, Lines, he doesn't need defending at all, because he immediately said that's ridiculous coming from the great Carly. Which, as a fan of professional wrestling, the great Carly, if you look him up on internet, Khali, he's that massive bloke who was in the remake of The Mean Machine, starring Adam Sandler. He's about 19 foot tall, and he's got a perfectly cuboid head. And so effectively, he is Danny Bart. So, you know, well done, Chris Lines, you've stood up for yourself there, mate.
Yeah, well done. But you've still got a moustache that even Gary Neville could take the piss out of. Good, Chris. If you're listening, Katie, I also offer fashion advice to the players.
If you're listening, Katie. How come, as soon as you mentioned the word Katie, you go into that little voice? Oh, Katie.
That's my chatting lady's voice.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Be quite the suave chap like what I am.
Yeah.
And how's that working for you, old boy?
Not great.
On with pop, chaps and japettes, and I do believe we have a certain little segment that, of course, we are rather light on football news, of course, this week, chaps. So we're also going to pop another little segment here. With Judge Fudge.
All right, please be seated. Please be seated. I am the Judge Fudge. This is my posh accent. I don't know if you've noticed that, but this is my Judge accent, and I'd like to listen now to your defence of the following players: Lord Hillsborough, Mr. Derek Geary, Mr. Edward, Steve Harkness, and the Beast Man Juan Cobian.
Edward, would you like to go first, old boy?
Yes, I would very much indeed. I'm quite looking forward to this because this player is actually sort of a hero of mine. And so, unlike last week, where I think astute listeners might have guessed that maybe I hadn't done as much research on Ola Tidman as I might have done, instead concentrated on the fact that he had a face that looked like a bag of smashed crabs. I thought I'd actually bone up a little bit on Steve Harkness. And so obviously I went to Wikipedia, because it's never wrong, is it? Font of all knowledge. And I found out a few things. So I'm going to tell you the Steve Harkness story, and hopefully that story will convince you that he's worthy of a place in the team. So, let me take you back to Liverpool. It's the height of the swinging 60s, the most exciting city on the planet. A young baby was born, the son of a trombone salesman and the woman who invented hula hoops. He was originally slated to be the lead singer of Frankie Goes to Hollywood, but his real passion was football. And so it was no surprise when he spent the first 20 years of his life at Boyhood Club Liverpool. However, his successful stint at Anfield was ended when he signed for the newly relegated Owls in the year 2000.
Is that the Owls of Sheffield
immediately
Wednesday?
had an impact. The Owls of Sheffield Wednesday. So he signed for the Owls of Sheffield Wednesday. It's on his contract. Steve immediately had an impact at Hillsborough, starring in our club record 8 straight league defeats. But he was only toying with the affections of the fans. And he also single-handedly ended the defeats with the goal of the century. It's the only way I can describe it. A half-volley, shinned finish in a 1-0 win over Birmingham. Now, playing alongside giants of the game such as Ian Hendon and Ashley Westwood, most players would fade into the background, but not our Steve, no. He immediately pushed himself to the forefront of fans' minds after that victory at Birmingham by getting immediately injured and not figuring for the rest of the season. He only played another 30-odd games for Sheffield Wednesday, and most of those were defeats, let's be honest. But his true Wednesday legacy is one that far outstrips his performance on the pitch. On a Liverpool pre-season tour of Portugal in 1986, he had a 4-minute liaison with a local wench. That liaison led to the birth of a son that Steve never spoke about, a son who we know as Jose Semedo. Semedo, of course, being the Portuguese word for Harkness. On behalf of all Wednesdayites, Steve Harkness, we thank you. It would be an honour for you to be in our Wednesday, not quite as good as the first 11.
Very
Hang
good.
on a minute. Hang on a
Very
minute.
professional.
Nobody told me that we were doing research and stuff like that.
Well, I wrote all that down. I don't know whether you could tell, but I didn't follow that off the cuff.
Well, I've got to admit, it did occur to me that you were reading from a script. I can't believe it. Something's going on here. There's some sort of craftiness going on here to keep Beastie out of this team.
Sometimes the truth is to be hidden, and you know, that is God's honest truth. It's in Wikipedia. It must be correct. So, you know, there you go. If you've got better than that, I'll defer. But quite honestly, I don't think you can beat. You'll never get past Jose Semedo's dad.
Still, but very, very, very impressed. Beastie, would you like to go next, old boy?
Well, I don't know whether to take part in this anymore, because to me, right, this was just us defending them from our heart. Not from a script,
defending these players from our heart like we meant it. I didn't think we needed Wikipedia. Right? I mean, if we're going to use the computer, then all you need to just put in there SWFC Wankobian. Now, I've got to tell you, right, when I first heard his name mentioned at Sheffield Wednesday, I thought Obian was his surname. Right? I was absolutely convinced. And having seen him in one of the 9 games that he played for Sheffield Wednesday, I was even more convinced that his Christian name was bang on the money. Right? Now, if you put SWFC Wankobian, I can't help putting the emphasis in the wrong place. Right? SWFC Wankobian, in there, it brings up all sorts of things, and one of them is an owlet. Now, what's that telling you? But I'm also going to tell you, one of the other things that it brings up is a picture of Eddie.
Ooh.
Right, so, how can I search for SWFC Wankobian and get a picture of Eddie and Neil Hargreaves? It's something very obvious. Not together, by the way. That's a totally different search. But while we're on the subject, there's also a picture of Ken Bates. Now, to me, if anybody deserves to be on a search for Wankobian, Ken Bates is your man. Because he has searched on he has appeared on many similar searches that football fans have done. Surprisingly, on that search on Google, there's only one picture in 100 pages of the actual footballer himself. And I found that a little bit sad. When you think that he came to Sheffield Wednesday and played 9 games. That's 9 games, people. 9.
Is that 9 full games, old boy?
That's 9. Never mind full games. even if he only played 5 minutes, it's 9 games.
Still counts.
Right? It's 9 more than he played when he signed for Charlton. Straight after us. He signed for Charlton straight after us, and he played 0 games. That's 0 games. And then obviously he picked up a little bit, went to Aberdeen, played 3, and went to Swindon and played 4. So in total, played more games for Sheffield Wednesday than the other 6 clubs in total. So obviously we got him at his peak.
Can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
You know, I'm not a football manager. I'm not a chief executive. I don't work in the game. But at what point do you think, you know what, this fella's played a total of 13 games for his last 3 clubs. He needs to be the first name that we're signing. Well, how does that happen?
You know the worst thing is it's as recent as 2003 that he signed for Swindon.
My God.
And obviously they're the team that signed him after 12 fantastic games. They obviously looked at him and thought, well, if Wednesday have got him, he has to be good. And just look at that name. He's an Argentinian, for God's sakes. The Argentinians are arguably the best footballers on the planet. Apart from we got Wank, Obian. Yeah, we definitely got the best part of the deal there, didn't we? Anyway, if that, straight from my heart, hasn't convinced the judge, then I'm telling you now, there is something wrong with this whole competition.
It's not a competition. It's
a
discussion. It doesn't always have to be about winning, Beastie. We should know.
It's the Owls of Sheffield Wednesday way. It's about the travelling for miles and not seeing us win. Right.
Well done, Beastie. I think that was a fantastic...
Very well done, old boy. Absolutely fantastically well done, old boy. So, chaps, I suppose
before you go on, can I just say to Fudge, vote Cobian, you know it makes sense. That's all I've got to say. You, Fudge, now, if you don't want to vote for me, then, you know, you fix it any way you want.
Ah, how rude. You're busy. You should be ashamed of yourself, boy. Absolutely ashamed of yourself. Right, so, chaps, we'll crack on, shall we? Derek Geary was Mr. Fudge's choice for me last week, and I must admit it's been an interesting journey finding out about the chap. I mean, he was with us for quite a while, of course. 121 appearances. Yes, Beastie, I do know that off the top of my head, and I have not used Wikipedia whatsoever. Also,
excuse me, that's only 122 more than Wankovian. So there's nothing in it, is there, really?
And again, I don't know why this keeps happening, but again, Fudge did give me Sheffield Wednesday Player of the 2002 was Mr. Geary as well. Now, of course, we all know the story, chaps. Mr. Geary ended up being somewhat of a turncoat and popped off to Sheffield United after a small stint over there at Stockport County as well. Of course, we all know that Sheffield United do sign the very cream of players from Stockport. So off he pops, and I must admit I did do not what you call research. I asked for a little bit of help over there on Twitter. Needless to say, nobody had anything marvellous to say about Mr. Geary. Although Mr. Richard Davies from a jolly good friend of yours, I do believe, Eddie, from Wednesday night.
How dare you cast aspersions on my character like that?
Absolutely top chap, of course, and tells me over on Twitter that he once saw him ordering a kebab at the takeaway next to the Proud Potato on Middlewood Road. Obviously quite so much of a kebab monster, and Mr. Davis also said that he thought he was a schoolboy at first, and he only came up to his waist. I'm not exactly sure what he was doing up at his waist, but I mean, it did seem that kind of chap. But, no, I mean, that's around about it, really. Of course, he did go on to have a successful career in the photography world and made an awfully nice living out of the Lucky Charms cereal. He did appear on the front of the Lucky Charms box for a number of years. Yes, I'm terribly sorry, chaps. That's my lot on Mr. Geary. So, Fudge, old boy, it's over to you.
Come on, Fudgy. Come on, Fudgy. You know it makes sense. Come on, vote Wankovian.
If you vote for it, you might be very, very lucky. You might come up to your waist.
That's what he was doing then. He was doing a Wankovian.
Wow. You don't want a Wankovian that comes up to your waist,
no,
do you?
No.
I'm going to aim it away. Anyway, no, just cut that bit out, God.
All right, order. I'm going to pass a decree that the fullback position goes to, and because it's a double entendre, it's got to be Juan Cobian.
Yes! Get it!
Miscarriage of justice.
Go away, Cobian! Go away, Cobian!
I'm glad it's a pop show.
I hope your neighbours aren't in, old boy. The judge has decided, and Mr. Juan Cobian makes it into the Wednesday week reserve 11. Mr. Fudge, would you like to remind us who's in there so far?
So in goal, we've got Chris Turner. He's the goalkeeper for the Wednesday reserve 11, the developmental 11. At fullback, we've got Juan Cobian. You've got to be careful how you pronounce that. And so on to next week, chaps. Lord Hillsborough, I'd like you to defend and make a case for Peter Atherton.
Oh, easy peasy, old boy.
Yeah? Eddie, I'd like you to make a case to defend Mel Sterling.
Oh, my word. How could he possibly be in the reserve 11?
Hang on a minute. This can't be right. How come they're getting good players?
Stephen Aslan for you, Beast. Stephen Aslan. Hey, how about that?
Well, between you and me next week then, Lord H.
I don't think so. That's a shoe-in. I see. Away!
We shall get our researching books. And of course, Mr. Ed did some absolutely belting research there. Beastie looks like we're going to have some ground to pull back, old boy.
What way?
Mr. Eddie's research technique.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that did sound a little...
Do you remember that just 2 minutes ago when we were discussing...
I'm in post office again.
I mean,
so live, mate, so live.
I'm not kidding. I absolutely wondered what am I doing here then.
So, chaps, on with back. Any other business, boys?
Yes, I've got one piece actually. It's
Right.
Wednesday related, tangentially. Tangentially, that's going to be a new word, isn't it, as well, that we've gone with for the Wednesday week. Anyway, I am a heterosexual man. Let that be in no doubt, or at least in very little doubt.
So am I, Katie, if you're listening.
Never trust a man who needs to promote his sexuality before he gets onto a subject.
No, okay, fair enough. Okay, I'm bi-curious. But I am also happily married with 2 children. And what better way to spend a Saturday night as a happily married man with 2 children than watching classic BBC Saturday night television in the form of Strictly Come Dancing? Because this year we have got a Wednesday legend competing on the show, none other than former England captain and unbelievably big Wednesdayite Michael Vaughan. I don't know whether you lads have seen the man putting his dance moves onto the floor there.
Well, as you might have guessed, I do like a little bit of dancing.
Obviously.
And I do watch it every week. Unfortunately, I'm a better mover than Michael Vaughan.
He's absolutely shocking, isn't he?
He is.
I could not believe. They say the sportsmen, with their control of their body and the aerobic fitness and that, they've got an advantage over everybody else that steps out onto that dance floor. But Vaughan, as much as we absolutely love you, you are shocking. I pray that he doesn't mention the fact that he's a Wednesday fan.
Yeah, it looks like he's been electrocuted, or he did on Saturday.
So all I wanted to say was, if you're proud to be a Wednesdayite, then by all means vote for Vaughan, because against all odds, because we're massive, we've probably got a lot of fans watching. We could probably take him all the way to the final.
Any other business, gentlemen?
Oh yeah, we've just got to touch on this just finally. Any of you guys that are out there that are listening, I think we might need to lay off Gary Medine on Owls Talk. I'm not a fan of the site myself. There's something wrong with a load of people going on and saying we should do this and we should sign Ronaldo. So it seems that Gary Medine, the goal machine, has been on Owls Talk this week, and he's been very he's not taken the criticism well. Not that I can imagine the criticism of Owls Talk will have been quite constructive or well worded, but Gary Medine, to me, between you and me, Owls Talk users, seems to have a bit of a screw loose. I'd watch what we say on there, because he is a bit mental.
Oh, our wonderful chap that's never got into any trouble. Remember, again, Mr. Medine is a changed man, if you remember.
Yeah, this is Gary Medine that's had the first summer where he's kept his nose clean, and all that's happened to him is he's got banned from driving.
So, what could possibly be the problem? I'm sure you're not going to get a knock on the door from the chap here, Fudge, old boy?
I'm not in.
Yes, chaps, please do be careful what you're saying about Mr. Medine, otherwise you could be visited in the night or find a horse's head in the bed, so to speak. Chaps, I do believe that does bring this today's show to a conclusion. Beastie, where can people get hold of you, old boy?
You can get in touch with me at the usual place, owlsalive.com, or on Twitter @Beastie_.
Fantastic. Mr. Edward, where can people get hold of your nonsense, old boy?
Well, you can find me on Twitter at @sausagearms, or if you happen to be in the vague vicinity of the Niagara Club in Sheffield this Friday night, you can come and find me in the Wednesday Night Lounge. Come along and say hi, and buy me a pint, by all means.
And Fudge, if people want to send you a lot of abuse for all the awful things that you've said on this podcast, where can they get hold of you?
I'm on Twitter, @FudgeandDave. Everybody's going to make call Dave, or you can get me on Twitter at @A Cave Called Dave. It's a new project, so I'm starting. And I thought I'd plug it there.
Absolutely. So pop over and follow those chaps on Twitter. Of course, ladies and gents, you can get hold of me over there on Twitter at Lord_H. That's L0RD_H. You can follow the show over there on Twitter at TWWcast over there on Twitter. Of course, by all means, if you would like to email the show, you can get in touch with us at twwpodcast@gmail.com. And please do pop over there and send us your views on the Wednesdays, and of course on the Leeds match coming up. If you're there, if you've got any stories at all about the day, please do get in Like I say, ladies and gentlemen, of course, please do follow us over there on YouTube as well. Please do subscribe, and if it's not too much trouble, after we've made these absolutely marvellous, wonderful, fantastically funny podcasts for you, to pop over and give us a 5-star review as well. Of course, all our episodes are up there on YouTube as well, so please do pop over there to our YouTube channel. You can subscribe over there, and of course, you can like us over there on Facebook as well. We have got things in the pipeline, ladies and gentlemen, as well, so please do keep an eye out for us, and do get in touch and get yourself involved in the show. So the chaps, we shall crack on and fly the flags for Leeds to come, and here's to hoping it's going to be a belting results. Gentlemen, may I have a goodbye?
Goodbye.
Oh, gentlemen, may I have a goodbye with some gusto?
No, that's it.
No, not after this show. No.
Okay, then, listen. Thank you ever so much for joining us, and we shall see you very soon.